Perfect. I see them.
Hello. Welcome. See a few familiar faces. Hi, Anne. Hi, Mary.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome. Jazz hands.
Great. Well, I think we'll give it just a few minutes here. We had a whole bunch of people sign up for this, and so I want to give some space. This can be a hard time slot right after work. So we'll give it a few minutes to get everyone welcomed up. But if you have any initial questions right off the bat, yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Great.
Looks like we have 8 people.
Great. Yeah, I think we'll give them. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's my mom.
Great. Yay!
Oh my gosh, Mom, did you make it?
I think I made it.
Go,
Yay!
Mom, go.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Great. We're going to give it a few minutes here and then we'll get kicked off. Just make sure we get everybody welcomed in. We did have a spot where you were able to submit questions and we've got those teed up. So most of them will be answered within the presentation. So that's exciting. But they were
Mom,
really good questions.
do you want to mute yourself? Do you know how?
The speaker.
Yeah.
I can also mute.
Amazing. Yeah, she has a dash hound. So
Yeah.
But Mom, if you have a question, you'll just have to unmute yourself.
That's right.
Got it.
But looking good. Looking good. Welcome everybody. We're just taking a few minutes here while we all get logged on. All right. And if you aren't currently muted, if you could do that, that would be awesome.
Do what? What are we doing?
We're muting. All right. Perfect. A few more moments here. All right. Looking good.
Yeah, we're at 12 now, which is great.
Yes. Great. All right. I think we'll give it 2 more minutes here. It's 6:05. We'll kick it off. But again, if you have any pressing, Paul's got a question already. Let's get you unmuted. Do you know how to unmute, Paul?
Sorry, just saying hello.
Hello,
Hi, Paul.
welcome.
Welcome.
Great. Excellent.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're
Perfect.
here too. This is great.
We're really excited. This is only our second ever virtual event at the Tahoe Rim Trail Association. So far we're feeling good about this. Can everybody hear and see the screen? Excellent. A few more folks rolling in here. Great. Excellent. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, LJ. Perfect. All right, we're going to kick off here in 1 more minute, but thank you everybody for joining. We're so happy to have you here. More folks rolling in, excellent. Perfect. Sometimes minutes can feel so long and sometimes they feel so short. What's up with that?
I don't know. I think it just did like a thumbs up reaction. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
That was
It's
me.
gone now.
That was me.
You nailed it.
Nice job, Mom.
We love
I'm
it.
just checking to see if it worked.
It does. We saw it. Excellent. All right. All right. We're going to kick it right off now. So thank you and good evening, everyone. Welcome. We just appreciate you joining us tonight for the virtual trail talk of building confidence and pack shakedown. We're just thrilled to have you here. Those of you who may be new to us, the Tahoe Rim Trail, or the TRTA, is a nonprofit organization that stewards the Tahoe Rim Trail, a 170-mile loop plus 174 currently, mile trail that loops around the Lake Tahoe Basin across California and Nevada. Our mission is to inspire stewards, preserve the trail, and promote access to the Tahoe Rim Trail for all. We've been around for 40 plus years, and we work in partnership with public land agencies and an incredible network of supporters to build, maintain, and protect this world-class trail, while creating these meaningful opportunities and connecting folks to the outdoors. There are a ton of ways that you can get involved with the Tahoe Rim Trail Association. And I think the first and the foundation of the organization, because it started out as volunteer-based, is volunteering. And you can do this through three main channels, but you could do it through trail building and trail maintenance as part of our crew. You can do this as a guide through our trail use programs, whether that's day, some short overnight trips, or a full through hike that's guided. Or you can join us as an ambassador. And we actually have some of our ambassadors on this call tonight, which I'm so thrilled to see. But our ambassadors are out there at trailheads or roving on the trails, advocating for responsible and respectful trail users. And so doing that with kindness and not a badge or a sign. And we think that that's far more effective. You can also become a program participant. We offer guided hikes. We have youth programming during the winter and the summer. We offer stewardship events, educational opportunities through like Backpacking 101 courses, or opportunities like this trail talk tonight, where we're going to be building skills and deepening the connection to the trail. And then lastly, like to highlight that membership is definitely an option. So on the Tahoe Rim Trail, every year there's around 700,000 people who use the trail, and only 1% of them give back to us. And we would love to grow that number. And it's one of the best ways that you can support the sustainability of the trail and do that over the long haul, while also staying connected to the community and the mission as a whole. So if that really resonates with you, that's an excellent way to participate. Perfect. We have a few housekeeping things that I'd love to note. If you can mute yourself, that would be super helpful. But with that, we'd also love for this to be super interactive. So if you have a question or if something pops into your head that you'd love to contribute, we encourage you to do that. You can do it through raising your hand and then unmuting yourself. You can type it into the chat. And then at the end, we'll also be doing a short Q&A. So lots of opportunities to get involved and to have your questions answered. But yes, keep yourself muted just so that we limit the background noise and it's easier to hear. Just for accessibility wise, and if it is helpful to folks, we will have live captioning tonight. You can go up to the More buttons, those three dots at the top, and go to Language and Speech and select that if that is helpful to you. And then additionally, we will be recording this presentation and it will be posted on the Tahoe Rim Trail Association's YouTube channel. So if you want to revisit the content or share it with others, we'd encourage you to do that as well. And I think, tonight is really just about helping you feel more prepared and confident and trail ready. And whether it's you're heading out for your first hike ever or dialing in your setup for the season, we hope that you'll get some nuggets of information that you can really resonate with. So now, without any further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Mallory Baja Jackson to you all, and I'll let her take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today virtually. So glad we chose to do this. I know we had some weather come in, so this feels like the perfect setting. I just want to reiterate, feel free. This can be collaborative. This is, it's like a 2-hour long talk fully. So, feel free to jump in whenever. And then at the end, question wise, you can truly ask me anything. If you have, a small trek coming up, you only want to do a weekend hike, or you're still really nervous about getting out there in general, I'm just trying to give you some confidence to get out there on your own. So this is a safe space. Feel free to bring any questions, but we will get into it. I'm going to start off with a little bit about myself. So obviously you can see in these photos, I have done multiple through hikes. I did the Pacific Crest Trail in 2022. That trail goes from Mexico to Canada. It took me 5 months to hike the PCT, and it's still one of the best experiences of my life. I met people from all walks of life. I learned a lot about myself, and my main drive for wanting to do it was really just to see if my body could do it. You know, it's like the curiosity factor. And if I could do this, then what else am I capable of afterward? So that was really the driving force for me. And prior to hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, I had never even done a long hike before that. I read the book Wild by Cheryl Strayed, like many of us did, and just got so inspired by her story. And when I got to the end of that book, I was just crying because I knew it was something that I wanted to do. So it's completely normal for people to go on their first through hike and to have never done a proper backpacking trip before. And I found that with a lot of other people who had gotten out on trail, and once they got to the desert, you know, everyone was just really supportive. And you'll find as you get out there on trail this summer, the trail community is really supportive and just really wants you to have a good time and wants you to recreate responsibly. So yeah, you meet tons of great people on trail, and you know, here I am doing this talk. I want to give back to the trail in any way I possibly can. And it's a huge reason why I live here in South Lake Tahoe, because I love being connected to the PCT and the TRT. So yeah, it's a great community. After hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, I hiked the Colorado Trail with 2 friends that I met on the PCT. While I was on the Colorado Trail, I had my first ever on-trail injury, which was really stressful and a really scary experience for me. I ended up having an IT band flare up, which I had never heard of before. When I did the PCT, I went from couch to trail, meaning I didn't train at all. And so I figured, okay, well, I did that before. I can do the same thing on the Colorado Trail. And then I got out there and I got injured. I went too fast, had too much weight, and yeah, I just injured my IT. So I found out pretty quick that I had weak hips, and I actually did need to train before going out. So that was a big lesson for me. And when that happened, that meant that I couldn't hike with my trail family anymore. I ended up saying goodbye to them, and I ended up hiking alone for the first time. When I did the PCT, I should mention I hiked that with my husband. So when I did the Colorado Trail, that's when I started with 2 friends. But then once I got injured, I just didn't want to feel like I was holding them back. And so that's when I decided to do a solo trek. Learned a lot about myself in the solo trek. Learned that I get easily spooked on trail. I was nervous to sleep at night if I wasn't around people. So the Colorado Trail really taught me a lot about being on my own on trail. And it taught me how to sleep and how to deal with some uncomfortable situations. So I'm going to touch on all of that later on. And hopefully, you know, some things that I went through that made me really nervous to be out there, I can hopefully, you know, share that experience with you and make you feel more comfortable. After that, in 2020, let's see, it's 2026 now. So 2025, I did half of the Arizona Trail. And then just this summer in July, I hiked the Tahoe Rim Trail. So that one's pretty fresh on the brain. So please bring any and all TRT questions to me. I had a really great trek. It took me 8 days to go around the lake. It's really one of the most unique hikes that I've done. You have like a clock with you the whole time when you're looking at the lake. So it's so easy to tell how far you've gone, which I really enjoyed, and it felt like you could see your progress. So that was a really great experience for me. So let's jump in, unless anyone has any initial questions. Otherwise, we'll keep it moving. I'll take Anne.
Oh,
Hi, thanks for doing this. First of all, I have just a quick question about hiking. When you did like Desolation Wilderness, you know, you saw all the rocks. After I went through the Desolation Wilderness area, one of my feet went numb, so I left because I didn't know if like that was a bad thing, and it took like a month for me to get feeling back. And I don't know if like you have any recommendations like for footwear for that section. Like, should I have hiking boots that have a like a plate in it, or am I just doing it wrong?
Thank you so much for being here and thanks for the question. So I personally hike in trail runners. I wear Ultra Lone Peaks. So it's a zero drop shoe. That has worked for me on my hikes, but obviously we're all different. I would recommend that if sounds like you've had this past situation happen to you, I would try boots. Were you wearing trail runners when you were in Desolation?
Yes, I use the Hokas and they've been great for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
Hokas are
yeah,
really popular on trail too. It's like the Hoka Speed Goat and then the Ultra Lone Peaks are like the top two shoes on trail. So it is a great shoe, but yeah, maybe just switch to the boot and just test it out, just do like an out and back and just see how it feels.
awesome. Thank
You
you
could
so
go, yeah,
much.
I would go to Lake Aloha and back.
Okay,
Yeah, I
perfect.
would try that
Thank
just to
you.
test it out.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay, so I feel like this is such a big topic with through hiking. Budget, right? Like how can we even afford to do this thing? It can feel really intimidating at first. I've felt this way with a lot of outdoor sports in general, just feeling like it's a lot of money to put into it. And you wonder, like, after I spend this money, am I even going to want to do it again, right? So I'm going to give you some tips on how you can lower your hiking budget. So the number one thing I recommend is to thrift or buy secondhand gear. This is really a great option for a lot of your clothing, even your backpack. Those items you can easily thrift. If you are here in South Lake Tahoe, we have the Gear Exchange in town. Andrew, who runs that store, is amazing. He's an awesome resource and he's really there to help. So definitely go and talk to him. But if you're down mountain or in a mountain town in general, there's tons of gear exchanges. So definitely go there first. Um, Another thing you can do is you can ask friends, see if they're willing to share some gear with you. If you want to go out for the night, but you don't have a tent, maybe you have a backpack, you see if a friend would let you share their tent with you, or you could just borrow it for that weekend. I think just getting out there in general and just like testing out some gear, I think is just a great way to get yourself exposed. If you have already kind of done the thrifted route and now you're ready to kind of buy your gear, I would just watch for sales, look around the holidays. My quilt that I sleep with is an Enlightened Equipment quilt, and they do sales all the time. Like they're constantly running a 20% off sale. Pay attention to those, and just try to get it all on discount if you can. Now, when it comes to actually getting on trail, when you are hiking, you'll stop in a lot of towns, and a lot of times you're going to want to stay the night and take a break. See if you're with friends or if you've made a trail family along the way, I would ask them if you can share a hotel room with them. It's a great way to cut costs in town. The second you get to town, you're going to immediately dash for a restaurant and you're going to want to eat all the food. You're like, I want the biggest pizza. I want the biggest pop. That's just what happens. You crave whatever you can't get on trail. And so you're going to be spending money in the restaurants. You're going to go to the grocery store. You're going to get way too much food. And then you're also going to pay for this hotel room. It's just what happens. So really you can try to cut costs by sharing a hotel room. You can also stay in hostels or you can contact trail angels in town. A lot of times when you get to a crossing, like for a trail town, like for instance, like at Echo, there will be a list of trail angels in the area. And these people are amazing. They're the reason why the trail is so great. And make sure to tip them if they allow you to. But in the past, if I've stayed at a trail angel's house, they oftentimes will have a logbook, and me and my trail family have like slipped a $20 bill into the logbook. And that's a great way to kind of just sneak them some money. But that's a great way to save on a hotel room. Another option is to hero, and you maybe have heard this word before, but a hero means that you go into a town and out of a town in the same exact day. And the same reasons I said before, you avoid spending too much time in restaurants, you can avoid the party scene. And yeah, you really just avoid going in and out of that grocery store because that's just what happens. Another good tip is to cancel any subscriptions you have that you're not going to be using while you hike. So if you want to take a month off for, say, the John Muir Trail, you could cancel your Netflix subscription or any items like that just to kind of help save money. And does anyone else have some budgeting tips on how to lower your through hiking budget? Feel free to comment. I'm curious to see too if there's any other through hikers in this chat. We have 17 people on the call. Colleen, have you done the TRT?
I haven't done the TRT, but I have done the long trail, the PCT, and the Colorado Trail. So it's on the list, and it should be.
Yeah, that should be a requirement to work there.
Yeah,
They
it should be.
But they pay you for the time.
You know, they actually do pay us to get out on trails, so we do love that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think actually your recommendations are spot on. I think especially the initial investment, it can be scary and daunting and can hold people back, but thrifting, asking friends, borrowing, even from, you know, associations like ours. Sometimes we do gear swaps and things of that nature. So being on the lookout for that kind of stuff is always good too.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so you now have saved up your money and now you need to be able to go and do this hike. So how are you going to get the time to do a through hike? So obviously, if you have left your job, that's a great way for you to get out on trail. But otherwise, these are some options for you. So you can ask your employer for extended vacation or a sabbatical. What I ended up doing to hike the Colorado Trail is I ended up working the Colorado Trail into my offer letter. So they gave me the offer letter. I responded back and I said, would it be okay if I took a full month off to hike the Colorado Trail? And they said yes. So that was a great, eye-opening moment for me, oh my gosh, should I do this with every job? Because it worked. And it was really great to know that I had something to look forward to. I mean, after you do a through hike, you just have the itch and you're just going to want to do it again. And so knowing that I had one in the future in between a job, that felt really good. It also felt really great to know that I had a job to come back to afterward, because it can be difficult after a through hike to have that landing point. So just to have that felt really good. You can ask for continued health insurance through that time if your work will allow it. You can always ask for unpaid time off. And then one recommendation I suggest is to give yourself an extra weekend to reset before you return back to work. You definitely need a break after, hiking and going through so much energy and also just all that sun exposure. Having a full weekend to just completely reset and honestly refuel, you will be a better employee come Monday. Another great way to do this is through seasonal employment, which obviously a lot of people love Tahoe for this. You can work all winter long, save up, you'll have that summer off, and then you can go and hike your big through hike. But otherwise paid time off. So when I hiked the Tahoe Rim Trail, I did it during the 4th of July. So the 4th of July, I believe it landed on a Friday. So I took 4 days off work, Monday to Thursday, and then sandwiched in the weekends. And that's how I got the full 9 days to do it. So that's what worked for me. Okay, so these next few slides, I'm going to go through some apps that I recommend. All of these apps I have used, I trust them, and I found them to be extremely reliable. And I definitely think they're worth checking out. So when it comes to navigation, I use the app called Far Out. It used to be called Gut Hooks, I believe. Yeah, right? Yeah. So it used to be called Gut Hooks. Thanks. Yeah. And now it's called Far Out. It's an amazing app. It houses pretty much all of the long trails. It has the Tahoe Rim Trail on here. This is exactly what I used to navigate on the Tahoe Rim Trail. It's really great for through hikers because there's comments on almost every waypoint, and you can see the exact date that the comment was left. So for me, this is really huge when it comes to water. So if I'm looking at a spring and I want to know if water is available there or not, I'm going to always check the comments. Look for the most up-to-date comment to make sure, yes, the water is flowing here, or no, dry. And this is how I can make smart decisions about how much water I'm going to carry from one point to the next. It's also great for towns. People will leave comments like, oh, this pizza shop gives you extra ranch, or this ice cream shop has the biggest scoops. Truly, this is the place for through hikers to go to get all of the information. Another thing that I like about it too is if you look at the photo on the left, can you see this one here? That is actually an icon of my face. It follows you along. So this is the elevation profile. So on the Colorado Trail, I had a lot of tough climbs and I mentally had to prepare myself for them by looking at the elevation profile. And I would just like break it up by looking at this. And I'd know, okay, I can keep pushing. I'm so close to that little flag, like I'm so close to the top, and I'd keep pushing. I know a lot of people who are like, I cannot look at the elevation profile. If I look at it, it will psych me out. So everyone is really different, but that is definitely the one that I look at a lot. And then Gaia. So I definitely recommend having a offline backup map just in case anything were to happen with far out, or if you had, a paper map or any backup map that you might have. Gaia has offline maps that you can use. You can mark waypoints. I had to use this one time on the Arizona Trail. I had to get off of trail and I was able to make waypoints so I could follow. I knew exactly how far I had to go. I knew the elevation I had to go through to get to that exit route. So it's just a great go-to backup map. And then obviously outside of these, you can use paper maps. I know some people will use All Trails just for day hikes. And there's lots of other great apps out there, but these are the two that I've personally tried and feel most comfortable with.
Just the Far Out app is the one that the Tahoe Rim Trail is endorsed by, and we endorse the information that's in that as a very reliable source of information. So just as that side point.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I've met people. I went back out for a weekend hike on the Tahoe Rim Trail, and I met people who were using paper maps and they were relying on a stream. And I obviously had been using Far Out, and I was like, oh no, like that is dry. Like you need to turn around, you got to go back. And we can talk a little bit about that too. I know people get worried about crossing into the Nevada side on the TRT and how dry that can be. So we can definitely talk about that as well if people have questions. Just 3 emergency apps that I recommend. Number 1 is to always have an SOS device on you when you are recreating in the backcountry. I personally have relied on the Garmin InReach Mini. If you are in an emergency situation and you need to call, you have an SOS button on your Garmin and it's able to call out for search and rescue. If you don't have this app, Garmin, the actual messenger app, you will have to use your little device and type in every character, way worse than an old flip phone. If you have the app, you are able to actually talk with search and rescue, tell them the specifics of your situation. Tell them, I broke my leg, I have this situation going on, whatever it might be. That can help search and rescue bring more specific items to help you. And also, sometimes you have to hike further than where you're at and they need to know where you're going to hike to. So I really recommend getting the app. It's just a great way to give more information to search and rescue. But even outside of search and rescue, I use it to communicate with friends and family. I send messages to my family and friends each night when I'm on trail to tell them I am safe at camp or if I have a change of plans. In this message exchange, I'm telling my husband, Luke, I need more food. So he was going to meet me in the next town to bring me food. So doesn't have to be super serious, but when I was alone on the Colorado Trail, I went ahead and I used this before bed as a way to text my husband and just feel a little bit more comfortable because I was so nervous about being alone. I'm like, there's moose here. What about the bear? So it's just really in my head. And I think a lot of us are. You're really not alone when it comes to those feelings. And having these apps just can make you feel more well equipped. Okay, and then whenever you are going out on trail, always look at your trusted weather app. I use WeatherBug. A lot of us use lots of different weather apps, but I always recommend making sure that you know before you go. You make sure to look at the weather. You check for storms. This is a screenshot from me on the Colorado Trail. I'm in Breckenridge at this point on trail. Lightning is 1 mile away. I had full phone service, so I could see how close it was, and all I could do was hunker down and obviously not hike any higher. So, sometimes I use it for lightning and in situations where obviously I can see it's lightning out. And then the last one, as far as emergency apps go, is On Trail Weather. This one's actually a website. It's really not an app, but it's just ontrailweather.com. And this is on the Tahoe Rim Trail. You can go in and click on the exact mile that you're at, and it will run a point forecast. It will give you the current weather, And then it'll give the projected weather for, I think it's like the next 2 days. This is really great, useful information. You could easily use your Garmin and run a weather report, or you could message a friend and ask them to use on-trail weather for you. Tell them your mile marker, have them look it up for you, and just send you the report. That's a great way to have really specific information. I'll move my head out of the way, but yeah, you can see like mile 70s right here. Like you just drop a point right on there. It's really cool. When I found this website, I was so stoked. And then some fun apps. So hopefully you've heard of some of these apps. Libby is a great app. It is basically you get your library card, you download this app Libby, and you link your library card with it, and you get access to library books and library audiobooks. It is the best. So cancel your Audible subscription and get Libby because it's so great. You will have to sometimes wait in a queue. So just something to know, if you have a hike coming up, you can look and see, if you have an audiobook you want to listen to, how far out it might be. But I definitely recommend Libby. Another app I love is Merlin. If you've ever been on trail and you're like, what the heck is that bird? You can open your app Merlin and open up the sound on this. It will listen to the bird calls and it will automatically pull up the name of the bird. So it's a really cool app. Just make sure you're not doing any private conversations, or let people around you know when you're recording, because it is recording. And then the last app that I love is Peak Finder. I learned about this app when I was on the Pacific Crest Trail. We were hiking through the desert and I asked someone, oh, do you know what those mountains are with the snow on it? And they just pull out their phone. And he was like, that's San Jacinto. And I was like, how do you know that? And then he told me about this app. And I was like, oh my gosh, this app has changed the game for me. I have never been the person on trail who knows where they are until I got this app. And then everyone starts asking you. You will be the person who knows where you are. I really love this app. I think it was like $4.99. I only had to pay for it one time. But yeah, it has a camera in the app and you just point it at the mountains. It knows your exact location, and then you're able to see the exact peaks. So here you can see Grand Teton highlighted here. It's so cool. I love that app. Okay, any questions before we move on? Okay. All righty, so let's get into it, right? We just budgeted a little. We just figured out how we're going to get our time off. We're downloading our apps. Now let's get out there. Let's talk about trail etiquette. So I'm going to go through the leave no trace principles. And these are principles that you should follow. And if you follow them right, then I think it's a great one that you can pass on to other people and kind of pass on the education. So the first one is to plan ahead and prepare. So this means knowing your limits and knowing the regulations of the areas that you're recreating in. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. For example, do not hike on a meadow. While it might look beautiful and lush and open, it is a really fragile environment. And also it's really not a great place to camp in general. If you camp in a meadow, you're going to wake up with a wet tent and a wet sleeping bag. It's not worth it. And when it's cold, or it's more cold in the meadow too, so you'll have ice on your tent. So it's really not worth it. Dispose of waste properly. We will get into waste later on in the presentation, but this means packing out all of your toilet paper, any wet wipes you have, digging your cat hole 6 inches deep, and making sure that you are going to the bathroom far enough away from any water, camps, or the trail. And we will do a deeper dive into that later. Leave what you find, minimize campfire impacts, respect wildlife, and be considerate of others. And then 3 things I added on be considerate of others are music in your ears, not through a speaker, hike your own hike, HYOH. You've heard of this one before, but essentially, everyone's out there for their own reasons and everyone is out there really to reset. So just be respectful of others. You might meet someone who's doing a fastest known time and you might automatically think like, oh, they're not taking in the trail. They're going way too fast. Like, how are they appreciating these views? But that's how they take in nature, and that's totally okay. And then lastly, hikers coming uphill have the right of way. The hiker coming uphill has a cadence going. They're in their groove. It's best not to interrupt that unless they tell you. And I have done that. When I need a break, I'm like, please come on through. I'm seeing some head shaking. I'm like, please, I need a minute. So yeah, that's trail etiquette for you. Go to the next one. Okay, so let's talk about water. This is a big one that I talk with my friends a lot, and they're really confused about how you find it on trail. Would I really drink this water? And yes, I drank this water. This is the only water for, I think it was like 25 miles, so it is what it is. So I recommend that you always filter your water. I have tried the Sawyer Squeeze and the Platypus Quick Draw. The Sawyer Squeeze was my go-to filter that I used on the Pacific Crest Trail. And then I recently tried the Platypus. And I'm someone who puts the filter on top of my water bottle. I drink directly through my water bottle. I just found that the cap on top of the Platypus was wider. And the Sawyer Squeeze, I would have to put on like a cap from my smart water bottle, like a sport cap, and that would just break. And then I felt like I was like leaving behind the little cap sometimes. I just felt like it wasn't really working for me. So if you're someone who is going to drink through the bottle, the Platypus is really great. The Catadine Be Free is also really popular. My biggest fear with the Catadine Be Free, so it's like a soft flask, like kind of like a running vest would have. And so my fear with that one is it getting poked, and then, what are you going to do? You can duct tape it, but then after a while you have to replace it. And then there's iodine tablets. So in a water source like this on the Arizona Trail, we shared a lot of water sources with cattle. So a lot of times I would do a double filter. I'd first filter with my Platypus, and then afterward I would add an iodine tablet. It does have a bit of a pool taste to it, so it's not always great. And I did notice when I added it in with my ramen noodles, like that water that had the iodine tab in it, would turn my ramen noodle water black. I don't know what that is about, but I don't know if anyone else has had that before. Don't be afraid. It is okay. I survived. Okay, so how much water do I need? I have personally found that 1 liter has lasted me between 4 and 5 miles. In the desert, I will need more water, but as you start to hike more, pay attention to the water you bring and how much you drink. That is a great way for you to evaluate how much water you need or how much water you drink through 1 liter. And that is how you can figure out how much water you're going to use. And then how do I find it? Obviously, if you're using Far Out, then you can follow your water icons really easily, and you'll never miss a water source unless you're, jamming out to music. But otherwise, it's pretty obvious. But all trails, if you're using that for weekend hikes, you can view water features like rivers and lakes and spring lines that are on the map. And then what's great about all trails is that they have like user submitted like comments below. So you can always go in and see like what people are talking about with the water. But otherwise, it's, you kind of need to do your own research. All Trails doesn't have as many comments as Far Out does. So I would just call a ranger and check with them. They are going to have the most up-to-date information about the water sources. So I just recommend doing that and just taking charge of the water on your own. And then just one tip before we move on into food. The Sawyer Squeeze Mini has failed on my friends in the past. The Mini, I mean, it's just smaller than the regular Sawyer Squeeze, and the filter life on it is not as long as the regular Sawyer. So just something to know. And then on really cold nights, your filter obviously is water is going through it throughout the day. And when it gets below freezing at night, the water inside your filter can freeze, and that will actually break your filter, and it will not filter out bacteria. So you need to sleep with your filter. If you feel like it's a little bit cold out, or you've looked at the weather and you know it's going to drop below freezing, sleep with your filter. Just bring an extra Ziploc bag, put it in there, put it in your coat, and just put it right in your sleeping bag. Any questions on water? Doing good? Okay.
But it's the iodine reacting with the starch. That's what's happening in your ramen. Super
Oh my
fun.
gosh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you've seen that too?
Yeah.
It's really crazy. I'm like, oh. Alrighty. So cook systems. So we have 3 different cook system options you can use on trail. Oh, also, since this is being recorded, if anyone needs to screenshot a page while we go, just let me know and I can duck down. Otherwise, this will get posted later, like Colleen said, and you can screenshot anything then. But I just wanted to let you know, feel free, just tell me when to duck down. So cook system. So the number one option you are going to see on trail is using a stove. So using a stove, you have a portable stove fueled by gas. To do this, you would need an MSR pocket rocket stove or a Jetboil. You would need if you're just going to use the pocket rocket stove, you would need a pot. I use the Snow Peak titanium pot. You'll have to buy fuel, you'll need a lighter, and optional, you can make a little DIY pot koozie that can help keep your food warmer longer, and that saves on fuel. The pros of a stove, there's so many. It's a hot meal. Who doesn't want a hot meal at the end of the day? Helps maintain body temperature. It can really boost morale after a long day. And in freezing conditions, a stove is great because you can melt snow. Cons of the stove, they are heavier than the other options below, and you have to rely on towns to have fuel. Tahoe Rim Trail is great. Obviously, you can come into South Lake Tahoe from Echo. Mount Rose, you can drop down. We have lots of opportunity to get to town from here or from anywhere on the trail. But on other hikes, like say the Pacific Crest Trail, where you have a lot more foot traffic, a lot of these towns will run out of fuel, and then you kind of got to switch to the cold soak or the dry method. So just something to be aware of. They do run out. And then of these 3 options, it is the most expensive option. The other option is to cold soak. This is what I do. Don't judge me. It's a stoveless method using cold water to rehydrate meals. So if you look at the photo on the left, that's what I'm doing there. I have ramen crushed up in a Talenti jar, and I'm talking like the Talenti ice cream. That little plastic jar is amazing. I have crushed up ramen noodles in there. I put ramen on top. You can do it at camp. You can do it on your way to camp and just shake it. It's pretty great. If you don't have a Talenti jar, you can easily use a peanut butter jar. The pros to this, it saves weight. That's really the number one reason why people will switch to a cold soak option. Food is ready the second you get to camp, and you don't have to worry about fuel. And it's typically more affordable than having to buy a stove or buying fuel throughout the trail. Cons. This is a term called slurping the GURP. You have to slurp the GURP. So I know, I'm really sorry, everyone. But this is essentially after you've had your meal, you will pour some water in your jar. You're going to put the top on it. You're going to shake it. And then you're going to drink that, because we're not going to leave trace. So we're drinking it. One pro is that, on the next day, if it's town day, you don't have to slurp the GURP. You can just put the lid on, and then when you get to town, you can clean it out in town in a public restroom. But otherwise, you are slurping the GURP on trail. And then, another con, many hikers just want a hot meal at the end of the day. You're never going to win this argument as a cold soaker. If you want the hot meal, you want it. And then just a couple tips for you if you want to try cold soaking. Pearled couscous needs more time. And then ramen can be done like right away. If you do it for too long, it can get really weird. And then rice, like the instant rice, you can get in those, what are those packets called? Ooh, something. Oh, Nor sides, like the Spanish Nor side. That one takes a long time. So it's like 2 hours. But yeah, so that's it on cold soaking, and then just eating dry. So this is, you're not cooking at all, and you are not soaking your food in anything. You're just eating it dry. So maybe you were like a sandwich person, or you're just eating ramen noodles with the seasoning on top. No judgment here. This saves weight. It saves water. So maybe if you have a desert hike, or you wind up in a situation where you don't have enough water to cook with, you can always eat your ramen dry for the night. It's totally okay. It's can save on pack space. And obviously your food is ready the second you get to camp. And the cons are obviously lack of variety. It's dry and it's cold. So yeah, I understand. Would anyone here try cold soaking? Yeah, okay. Nice. I recommend. When I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, I started off with a stove. And it was like, I think for 2 weeks I had a stove on me, and I ended up switching to cold soaking just because I was willing to do anything to cut weight because the backpack was so heavy. So for some people, that's kind of what gets them to the cold soaking. Okay, here are some images of food on trail as a cold soaker. You know, it's not all about cold ramen. You can easily go to your baked goods section. I have hiked with bagels and cream cheese, and I have not had any issues. I have many friends who've also hiked with cheese. The running joke is that the bottom of your backpack is like your fridge. We just put all this at the bottom and cross your fingers, and yeah, I haven't had any troubles with it. The top left photo is a tortilla with peanut butter and some wild blueberries when I was in Washington. You'll find that you can honestly put anything in a tortilla and it's a good meal. That's pearled couscous bottom left. That would be the #1 meal I would recommend if you are curious about getting into cold soaking. Just try some pearled couscous. I think it's a good intro to cold soaking meal. And then on the right, this is really fun. This was in the Sierra Nevada range on the PCT, gathering snow and then putting in the Crystal Light electrolyte fluid, or yeah, the fluid right into the snow, just as like a hiker trash snow cone. And she's smiling. This is my friend Gravity, so she's happy. And then here are some food options for you. I'm not going to go through every single one, but food can be pretty intimidating. I've been in the situation where I've gotten to the grocery store and I'm walking down the aisles and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is overwhelming. What should I bring? And this is I would just screenshot this and I would use this when you go to the store. A couple highlights that I'll mention for lunch, the hiker trash pizza. I don't actually eat meat, but my friends who do love hiker trash pizza. It's a tortilla with cheese sticks, pepperoni, a little olive oil or mayo if you want extra calories, and tomato paste by the tube. This is a very popular meal on trail that people love. Another one for dinner is pad thai. It's just ramen, soy seasoning packet, and then peanut butter, preferably the crunchy peanut butter if you can. And it's a great meal. And you can obviously opt for the already prepared hiker like backpacker meals that you can find. But you can also try to make them yourself. And there's always ramen. You can do ramen many ways. And then one tip I have for you when you are shopping for your hike, I recommend that you use a shopping basket instead of an actual cart. If you have a cart, you can't feel the weight of anything you're about to put in your back. But if you have the basket, everything in your hand that you feel is going to go in your backpack. And that has made me make very smart decisions. I have put back lots of items. I've also found that when I use a cart, I tend to overbuy and then I end up giving all the extra food to the hiker box, which I'll explain what hiker box is later. So it can be more expensive. So you definitely want to feel the weight that you're going to put in your backpack. All right, so this is how I determine how much food I'm going to bring on trail. So I separate them into columns by day. I'm basically going off of how many calories I personally need per day. Everyone is different. So I go off of my calorie count and I pretty much list each item like by breakfast, my snacks, my lunch, and dinner. I have a separate pile for snacks that I can eat at any time, like throughout the day. Like they don't count towards this one column. And then I'll take a photo of my food so that when I'm on trail, if I'm looking in my big bag of food, I'm wondering, okay, how many bars can I eat this day? I can look back at this photo and I can know how many I I can eat. And it's not about like having food control or anything like that. It's really just trying to be so smart on trail and just trying to be safe. If I get into a situation where all of a sudden there's a huge storm and I have to hunker down and I have to spend a whole extra day on trail, then I'm going to figure out how to ration my food to get me to town safely. And every single time that I've had these photos, it has really helped me. So I definitely recommend doing this. Another thing I'll do too when I'm on trail, if I'm curious about how much food I have left, maybe if it's like the day before I get to town, I'll take just a quick photo of the food I have so that when I get to town and I get to the grocery store, I can look back at my photo and I know I'm like, oh, okay, I already have 5 bars. I only need this many more or whatever it is. I can kind of have an idea of what I already have. So definitely recommend doing this. You'll see a lot of hikers doing this randomly on trail. It's a go-to method.
And I always carried an emergency ramen because it was like the lightest thing. I could eat it in any condition. And I always had it at the bottom of my food bag as like, this is my emergency backup plan to the backup to the backup. So
Yes.
yeah, love that. And yes, this is exactly what I did too. So love that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, there's always that one meal at the bottom, just like, save me. It's always crushed ramen. Alrighty, so let's get into resupply strategies. This photo on the right, this is entering a town. A lot of times when you get to a post office or a spot that allows packages, it will look just like this. Everyone will have their box in there with their name on it and their ETA for when they're going to come and get their box. And you just have to go through the boxes and it oftentimes looks like this. And you're just hoping that your box will be there. So a lot of people will either resupply when they get to town and they'll just go to the grocery store, or they will prepare a box ahead of time and then send it to a post office, a hostel, a hotel, or a trail angel's house. There's lots of pros and cons to this. Pros are that you don't have to worry about shopping when you get to town. You have all your meals planned out. You've prepped ahead of time for them. A lot of times when you do a resupply box, you're sending it to a town that doesn't have a lot of food options. So you're giving yourself plenty of options to have outside of the basics that you're going to find there. Cons, you really have to rely on the post office hours to get your package. I have seen so many hikers running, trying to make it in time before the post office closed for a weekend. And then they're kind of out of luck. And a lot of times when that happens, what a hiker will do is they'll resupply in town. You know, if it's just a gas station, they'll do what they can. They'll call the post office when they open next and ask them if they would kindly bump the package forward. And so that is something you can do. Outside of that, though, you can call a hostel, you can call hotels, and you can contact Trail Angels and see if they would be willing to hold your box. Far Out, again, a great resource. Lots of comments on there for people who have done this, positive and negative experiences all throughout that app. It's really great. A lot of times they will hold just a small fee to have your box there. So just kind of prepare for that. And it's typically cash. Okay, so then outside of that, you can resupply in town through grocery stores, gas stations. There's all sorts of things. I mean, you can do Taco Bell, get some extra burritos and bring them out. It doesn't have to be just limited to grocery stores and gas stations. Or you can always check a hiker box. So a lot of hostels and gear shops will have a box in the store. It'll say on top hiker box or like for hikers. And inside that, other hikers have left extra food. They've left gear that they don't need anymore. And it's a great spot you can go to. You can give your extra food to that box, or you can, see if there's a one-off item that you might need. I needed duct tape before to put on my trekking poles, and there was a roll in there. So sometimes you get lucky. Other recommended items that you can put inside your resupply box if you choose to do that. Food that you can eat on the spot. A lot of times you're going to want to open that box and start eating, but the food in there, you've already done the math. You've already allocated that food for that next section of trail. And so it's good to just put in that bag of chips or whatever it is that you can eat right away. New shoes, lots of hikers will put their shoes in there. Any medication you need, Leuko tape, yeah, duct tape for your hiking pole if you need that, or just letters from home. Honestly, even on a short hike, just being out there in general, it's so much energy, and just having a letter from home can feel so good. So those are some recommendations I have there. The only last thing I'll say I didn't put on here, one con of the resupply box, if you don't really need it, like Tahoe City, you can go right to the grocery store, no problem. Or not Tahoe City. Wait, am I going crazy? Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Tahoe City.
Yeah, I was like thinking about Truckee for a second there, but I'm like, no, TRT. Yeah, so when you get there, obviously you can go to the grocery store there. But if you make your resupply box ahead of time, a lot of times those meals, you're kind of already over it. You don't really want your tuna or the Cliff Bar. You've done it. You're good to go. Just be aware that that will happen. It's happened to me so many times, even after I've told myself I'm never doing a resupply box again. I do my resupply box, I open it up, I'm like, no, I don't want any of this. So it's really common, completely normal. It's just all part of the hiking experience.
I attribute making the resupply boxes like nesting to having a child. It's like something to do ahead of the trail that makes you
Yes.
feel prepared, but once you get it,
Yes.
you're going to hate everything inside it. So
100%.
sometimes it's good, but most of the time you're feeling pretty over those things. So yeah,
It's
I would
so
second
true. It's
that.
like,
Yeah.
how can I control this uncontrollable thing? I'll make these boxes and then I'll be ready to go and I won't have to think about it when I get there. And then, yeah, it's just the way it goes. Alrighty. Oh, what were
Also,
you gonna say, Mom?
Mallory,
Yeah,
I was
Mom.
gonna say, sometimes there wasn't enough calories in those boxes I sent you.
It's true. Yeah, my mom, we ran into an issue with that. Sometimes I'd have to ask my mom. I called her my trail momager. So sometimes you gotta have someone back home who's sending your boxes to you, and yeah, you gotta get them to add more calories in there or make changes for you if they can. But yeah, that's a good point. That was a big struggle. Alrighty, so diving into just a couple safety tips. This photo's great. This is Goat Rocks Wilderness. We were coming down from this section that had like dinner plate rocks. Every single rock's moving. The clouds set in, and I'm like, "Is that Garmin on?" I'm coming down, feeling stressed out. But obviously, I have a smile on my face. This is like one of my favorite memories. I recommend that a number one item you have on you when you're entering the backcountry is to have a Garmin InReach Mini. Having that satellite device on you really is great. It's just such a good option to have for backup if you ever ran into a situation. Also, family and friends at home who aren't there, that gives them peace of mind as well. So it's really great. And even like hiking with hikers who don't have a Garmin on them, I've sometimes felt a little bit uncomfortable. I felt like I'm slightly responsible for them all of a sudden. It's just not the best feeling. So please, please get yourself an SOS device. When I did the PCT, I remember having a conversation with my husband, Luke, like, oh, only one of us will need it. And, just put it on me. And that was just so naive. Obviously, we both needed one. If one of us was in a situation and couldn't get to the SOS, it was just irresponsible. So make sure, even if you're hiking in a pair, you both have one. Always tell someone about your plans before you go, even on your weekend hikes. If you feel comfortable and the area allows it, you can bring pepper spray or you could bring bear spray. I know a lot of hikers who have pocket knives to cut their cheese and their summer sausage. So you could just have that on you. I know a lot of hikers that won't sign a logbook with their actual name or their trail name. Instead, they'll have a second name that they use that family and friends and their group will know about. And that's a great option for you if you feel more comfortable with that. And then, as always, with everything, trust your gut. Really trust yourself when you're out there. If you have any weird vibes, just listen to those vibes and you can always come back out. The trail will be there. Sleeping on trail. This is a big one when I talk to my friends about hiking. like I mentioned before, they definitely don't want to sleep on trail with the bugs, and I totally get it. So for the people who are really nervous about camping on trail, I want to invite you to try and just camp in your backyard. You know, even if you have a fenced in backyard, it's totally fine. Pitch your tent and just try it out for the night. Even if you can't stay the whole night, try half, that's fine too. Anything to get yourself more comfortable with the idea, I think is a great way to get you out there for a weekend trip. You can invite a friend or a partner to join you for the night. After you feel more comfortable with that, you could try and camp on your own in the backyard. And then eventually, after you've camped in your backyard enough to where you feel comfortable, when you get out on trail, really choose a campsite that feels comfortable and safe. You get to this site, there's no creepy tree like from Snow White. You don't get any weird vibes. You know, maybe you saw a hiker earlier in the day who was so cool and you want to meet them. Maybe you camp near them. You really just want positive vibes around your campsite. And then, yeah, you can always camp near other hikers. If one thing for you that stops you from getting out there is you don't want to sleep alone, you can, with enough distance, you can camp near someone else. Another thing you can do is you can download movies to your phone. You can get some audiobooks, you get music, a happy podcast. These are all great options. There is no shame to being on trail and watching a movie. I understand we're all out there to unplug, but sleeping is so important to resetting and re-energizing for the next day. And if you have to watch your comfort movie over and over before you fall asleep, totally fine. I have been there and I have done the same thing. And then, yeah, I mentioned happy podcasts because I have a friend who listened to a podcast about a mountain lion attack. And obviously that was stressful. And so, when she was on trail, she was really worried about that. So, listen to something happy, maybe really anything, sunshine, sunshine and rainbows. And then here's some different sleeping types. So if you fall into any of these categories at home, you're most likely going to fall into them on trail. So I personally am a white noise sleeper. I have an air purifier that goes on all night. And so I love the white noise. So on trail, I would suggest that you camp near a river or a waterfall. That will completely drown out any outside noises. My best nights on trail have been near a river. It is so peaceful. If you are a silent sleeper, you don't want to hear anything going on out there. Yep. You don't want to hear a single thing. Wear some earplugs. I have worn earplugs before and I've still been able to hear my friend rolling around on her sleeping pad. So you're still aware of what's going on, but you can easily tune out, the bunny that's moving those sticks around. And then if you are a comfy sleeper, so I would recommend testing out different camping pillows. Maybe that's your luxury item on trail. It's just a really comfy pillow that you bring out there, whatever you got to do to fall asleep. You could bring specific sleep socks. So these are outside of your actual hiking socks. They're specifically for when you're in your tent. I would recommend doing that. And they can even be on the heavier side. That's okay. And then you could also order a sleeping bag for cooler temperatures. Sometimes having that 10-degree bag and, being worried about being cold, it's not worth it. So get the 10-degree bag and just be warm and don't stress about it. And then one tip for you, I have done this when I felt a little bit nervous at camp. I will create a stick alarm system. What this is I am gathering all sorts of twigs and sticks from anywhere, and I'm putting them around my tent. It looks like a witch is sleeping in this tent, but I don't care. I'm putting all the sticks around, and then this way, if an animal night were to approach my tent, I would hear all of these stick alarms going off. I'd have plenty of time for how I want to react. I'd have time to get my headlamp out or whatever it might be. Grab my big rock that I keep next to my tent, whatever it is. It's just a great way to feel more comfortable at night. And I found that I've fallen asleep pretty fast when I make my stick alarm. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Periods and poops. Any questions before we dive into this? I mean, plunge. plunge in. Okay. So diving into periods and poops. So rule of thumb for both of these, you are going to hike at least 200 feet away from trail, water, or camp. And you're going to dig a 6-inch deep cat hole. A lot of hikers will buy a trowel specifically to dig their hole. I use a trowel by the company Deuce of Spades. I have a link at the very end. You can go in that link and you can find the exact one that I use. It weighs like less than an ounce. I know some hikers who won't bring a trowel to dig their cat hole and they'll just use a tent stake. And it's not effective. You're never going to get to that 6-inch deep hole. You know, we need to leave no trace. We need to recreate responsibly. We have more and more people gravitating towards the outdoors who have never heard about Leave No Trace before, or really are just learning about trail etiquette in general. And so we really need to be mindful. So let's do poop first. Okay. So when it comes to pooping on trail, very intimidating. I know lots of people who will hold it all the way through. They will not go until they get home. I can't do this. So I'm going on trail. And so there are 3 options you can use to clean up after yourself. Number 1 is a bidet. They make these really amazing ultralight bidet attachments. They're like this big. You can bring a separate water bottle that you'll put on top of the water bottle, and it literally is a bidet. It's amazing. You can bring toilet paper or wet wipes. You can, if you don't want to have the weight of the wet wipe, you can easily leave your wet wipes out in the sun, dry them out. Then when you get on trail, you can just put some water on it and it will rehydrate your wet wipe. That's if you're worried about weight. But these are the 3 main options for going. So how do we do it? We are going to walk 200 feet away from trail. And if it's 200 and it's an open meadow, no trees, we're going to go until we find the tree or the rock, because no one needs to see this. You are going to dig a 6-inch deep cat hole. You will go in your hole. You will wipe or use your bidet. And then you are always going to place your used toilet paper in a Ziploc bag, never ever in the hole. You will use hand sanitizer, cover your hole, and then leave a stick flag, like a vertical stick in the ground, or you can do the X method with sticks. It's just the courteous thing to do so that no one accidentally finds treasure. Yeah, it can be a little bit intimidating at first to go, but it's really not that scary and you'll be just fine. We've all done it. For those who bleed, here are some options for you. There's the Diva cup, the salt cup, the disc, or you could try free bleeding. I wrote a full article on free bleeding. I'm not going to dive into that on today's seminar, but if you have questions, feel free to message me after this and we can talk about that. Of the 3 cup options, the salt cup is the most lightweight of the 3, just to put that out there. But this one I found you kind of do have to have a certain finesse when it comes to it. So same thing, we're going to go 200 feet away from trail. We're going to dig a 6-inch deep cat hole. I place 1 water bottle in front of me with my cap off. You really are trying to touch, you know, as little things as you can as you're going through this process. And then in front of me, I'll place my toilet paper or my wet wipes, whatever I'm going to use, right in front of me. So I'm not having to dig through my bag and get anything out. And I always will clean my hands first. I'll remove my cup with 1 hand. This is so specific, but with the left hand, I'll remove it. And then I'll take my right hand and I'll clean off my cup. I will reinsert it and then I will rinse my hands with my water bottle. The goal is really just to like keep it as contained as you can. It's difficult, but this is what I found works for me, is just really setting everything up in front of me. You know, everyone's different. We all have our own things, but just having it set up in front of you, ready to go, is gonna be the best way to get through it. And then it's going to be the same thing. You're going to place your dirty toilet paper into your Ziploc bag, cover the hole. You're going to use your hand sanitizer and then leave your stick flag for others. One notable product I want to mention is this item here. This is called the Kula cloth. The person who started this, she is a thru hiker. She's amazing. and a really great steward for the trail. This is a reusable antimicrobial pee cloth for anyone that squats when they go pee. This piece right here, it folds up and it clips into itself, and you can hang it from your backpack to dry. It closes, it's like a taco, so it's private. No one can see anything inside of it. And it's on a lot of hikers' backpacks. It's really getting more popular. So definitely try this out. It's also a great gift for the hiker in your life who's getting into hiking. The cool cloth is a great option. All right. Alrighty, so let's get into what to wear. This is a great photo of my sock, frozen, because I had sweat so much. It literally, I could like bang it on a rock. It took so long for that to dry up or to melt. That same night, my shoelaces on my shoe were completely frozen. I had to sit on my shoes to get them to thaw out before I could put them on properly. Expect the unexpected. So what to wear, we all know about the layering method. It's pretty much the same thing on trail. My typical outfit is just like this image here. I typically will wear a sun hoodie, shorts. Trail runners, I'll wear a gaiter, kind of like this one here, to help from rocks getting into my shoes. And I always have sun protection. I always have a hat on. I either have my sunglasses on my face or I have them on a croaky. That's really what I feel most comfortable in hiking. And then in my backpack, I will have a base layer, a mid layer, so something a little bit thicker. I'll have my puffy and then my raincoat. So those items are always in my backpack because the weather can change. You just never know what's going to happen. This photo is on the Arizona Trail. Wasn't supposed to rain. It rained and it snowed. So when I was at the hotel, I asked if they had a trash bag, and this is a trash bag around my waist. It's my, DIY rain skirt. It worked. Wasn't great, but we just have to adapt sometimes. But this is, this was my third through hike. Definitely a common mistake as someone who's been out there a lot. I got comfortable, right? I said, I don't need rain pants. Why would I need that on the Arizona Trail? And then I got caught in this bad weather. So just another reminder, even those of us who have lots of miles under our belt, we make mistakes too. So it's just what happens. So for on the bottom, I'm wearing my shorts. I'll have a base layer, rain pants, and those are always in the bottom of my backpack. And then, like I said, I wear trail runners. One really cool thing I saw this year, someone had bought, they removed the shoelaces on their shoe, and they found this like almost like a bungee system that had like a cord to it. That way they never had to tie their shoes. They just could yank it and pull the little cord down. It was really cool. If I find that product, I can share it with everyone, but that was really cool. I love that. And then I also have a gaiter that I'll usually wear on my neck, or I'll put it over my eyes when I sleep. Or if I was going through a burn zone, that would be like kind of a makeshift mask to get me through to town. But that is pretty much what I wear. When you get to my list of like all of my gear, you can go through each of my items and check out everything in more detail there. Okay, I believe this is our last slide before we wrap up. Hitchhiking. So you've probably heard of it. When you get on the Tahoe Rim Trail, you will have to hitchhike to get to town. I had to do it. So hitchhiking can feel pretty scary at first, but I'm hoping that with these tips, it will make you feel more comfortable to get out there and try it. So this is what I recommend. I recommend that you put everything into your backpack. So you're going to put your Kula cloth away. Your hitch does not want that on their seat. You're going to collapse your trekking poles. I have been in a car where someone's trekking poles were not collapsed and they scratched the roof of the car, like inside, and it tore the fabric, and they're never going to be able to repair that. That was a big bummer. And you're going to secure any loose items that could fall out of your bag. I lost a spoon one time. I was so sad. My hitch was very adamant that I put my backpack in the front seat. I had it on my lap and she just kept saying, no, let me put it in the front. I feel so bad. I'm like, no, it's okay. But she really wanted it up there. So she just grabbed it, put it up there, and off went my spoon. I had no idea. I was so sad. And then some items to keep on you. You're going to want to keep your phone on you, your wallet, and then just keep your SOS device on you just in case. So you are going to stand on the side of the road in the direction that you are trying to go. You want to find a spot with a pull-out location for your hitch. So really like put yourself in the mind of the hitch, right? They see you on the side of the road, they drive by. If there's no pull-out location for them, they're not going to be able to pull over for you. So really find a spot that makes sense and then it's safe because it's going to happen pretty fast. And then make sure, yeah, you're staying on a wide shoulder too. Sometimes people, they don't want to see a hitchhiker and they have driven close to the shoulder before. It's not a great feeling. So really just practice being as far away from the shoulder as you can. And then always hitch with a friend. Buddy system is the best in this scenario. Stand on the side of the road. You're going to stick your thumb out. And I just try to make eye contact with everyone that drives by. I try to smile. I remove my hat. I remove my sunglasses so the driver can get like a good look, like, can you trust me? Because everyone's nervous in this situation, right? And then once you do get a hitch, what I do every single time is I take a photo of their license plate and I just trust my gut in the conversation. How's it going? If it feels weird, if something's not right, I'm going to tell them, no, I'm sorry. I can't hitch with you, unfortunately, or whatever it is. Whenever I hike alone and I have to hitch alone, my personal rule of thumb is that I'll only get in a car with another woman. If there's two men, I will not get into the car. If they pull over for me, I'll tell them, no, unfortunately, I've decided to wait. It is what it is. If you are uncomfortable, just say no. Let's see. Oh yeah. And then don't hitchhike at night. So you're really going to want to just camp, wait until the morning. It's a lot safer. It's too dark. No one can see you anyway. It's not worth it. And then just some red flags. So don't get in the car if you smell or see alcohol. If you suspect that the driver might be high, if they immediately start asking you for money, that's weird. Like, do not get in that car. And if the driver makes you feel uncomfortable in any way, again, this is not going to happen. Don't get in. It's not worth it. Any questions on hitchhiking? So it's a fun one. It's weird and it's fun. It's a thrill when someone pulls over for you. Truly, you're like, yes, oh my gosh, I got a ride. Yeah, I feel so good, especially when you see like a PCT or TRT logo. You're like, oh, perfect. This is going to be a really good hitch.
Absolutely.
Oh, I guess like one last thing I could mention too before we finish is that I've noticed that in big groups of people will not pull over for you. So break up, divide and conquer. You're more likely to get a hitch that way. I had a friend one time who had a bathroom emergency and we were all on the side of the road trying to get a hitch and he had to go to the woods, obviously, and he could see the road from where he was and we all got a hitch and he couldn't do anything about it. And he just he was going to the bathroom. Felt really bad for him. It happened. All righty. Well, thank you so much for sticking through this presentation with me. I really hope that you've learned some tips and tricks. It's a lot of information. It can feel pretty overwhelming. Feel free to go back and kind of screenshot everything. This is a really cool source. This is called Lighter Pack. I have broken down all of my gear in here down to my big ticket items that I use. So my, tent, sleeping bag, backpack, everything that I wear, everything that I pack in my bag, my electronics, kitchen, all of it is listed there. This is the link to that. So feel free to take a photo of that. Then you can access it. If anything, I would use this as a checklist that for when you go out on your next big hike, you can kind of go through. Even when I go on weekend hikes, or I guess weekend overnight trips, I will go through my list and I will almost always find something. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't pack whatever it is. So this is a great app. I definitely recommend using this. And then if you have any additional questions, this is my Instagram handle at Mallory Jackson with 2 N's because someone stole the first one. So feel free to reach out to me here. I'm happy to, answer any other questions you might have. But otherwise, if we have any extra questions now that we're done, now is the time.
We have a whole list of questions.
Love it.
In the chat.
I have a message.
Oh my gosh, do we really? Oh, good.
Oh, and then your mom has a question.
Oh, what's up, Mom?
I want to make sure that everybody wears their shoes like that a little bit bigger. Remember, like a half size bigger. So is that why
Yes,
that one
Mom.
lady's shoe might have been, her foot might have been numb perhaps? Does she wear the proper size shoe?
I don't know. We'll ask. That is a really good point. I did
Yeah.
find that when I started hiking, I did size my shoes up a half size. Um, That's a good point. Yeah, that is definitely too one thing. Like if you're nervous about hiking or you're someone who's in this seminar and you're like, I don't even think I'm going to do a big through hike. I just want to do some weekend things with the girls or with my guy friends or whatever it is. I would dial in my shoes sooner than later. That's definitely an easy one you can do. Yeah, but good point.
And if you are doing a long hike, my feet grew almost a full size, which was a
Yeah,
weird thing that I wasn't expecting because I had
that
pre-ordered all
is,
my shoes and then I had to end up selling them all. So something to think about, that you think you're being so prepared, and I really was, but is very common for if you're doing specifically like a very long hike, like the PCT or CDT or AT, for your
mhm.
feet to grow almost a full foot size. So sizing up
Yeah,
is
it's
a great
wild.
option. Yeah, yeah, wild. Both
Yeah,
my partner and I had it happen. So I
yeah.
think it's pretty common.
It's very sad when you get home and your cute shoes no longer fit.
Sure is. Or the brand new pair of ski boots that you bought.
Oh
Such
my
a bummer.
gosh. That
I
is so
know.
sad.
Well, cool. We have Courtney has a great list of questions.
Okay.
Starting with did you bring a power bank on the TRT? If so, what size? How long did it last if you were listening to audiobooks?
Yes. So I used an Anchor. I have found that the Anchor has worked. I had friends who have tried the Night Core. It's like NITECORE. The Night Core has failed in the past, and those people have used two 10,000. I use an Anchor 20,000, and that has worked for me for multiple days. It's a little heavy, but I feel like it's worth it.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about bugs on the TRT, late July to early August. How about are the mosquitoes on the west side? That time of year, every time I've been out in the Sierras, it's awful. And I hear as summer goes on, they die back.
Yeah, that's a fair one. So I can't speak on the mosquitoes on the TRT. Maybe Colleen, you can, but I can speak on them as far as hiking through Oregon. Oregon was like my worst experience I've ever, encountered with mosquitoes. I've had bad ones, but truly never where they were like covering my entire body. Bug net, I personally did not want to put DEET on myself. I was really afraid of getting sick in the middle of nowhere. So I bought natural like off bug spray, which is like supposedly better. I found with that I just had to apply a lot more. But also I found wearing headphones and just like trying to drown out the buzzing with music. It's really helpful because honestly, it feels like they can make you feel slightly crazy when they're just buzzing around your head all the time. So, and then if you're able to eat your breakfast in your tent before you go, or if you're hiking, you can get it up through your bug net, just any way to keep that bug net on at all times. Otherwise, movement. We got to just keep moving.
Yeah. And then just speaking to the bugs, it's really dependent on water. So if it
Yes.
ends up being a high water year and there's water everywhere, you're going to see mosquitoes. So you're more likely actually to probably see them in the desolation section rather than on the Nevada side, just because of how much water and how prevalent it is there. So I hear on the TRT that and my experience in desolation, because that's a section I have done multiple times, that it is hit or miss. Later in the season is usually better. But if it has just rained, like you can expect to see bugs for sure. And I
Yeah.
I was the same way. I didn't want to put DEET on myself. I definitely had a bug net in my kit, and I used the Badger anti-bug spray, and we called it our town cologne because it
Yeah.
also just smelled good. So we would spray that on ourselves before we were trying to catch a hitch as well, because we were trying to be hospitable. So so I really like that one. It smells like lemongrass, so it's a lovely, lovely option for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, okay, foot care.
Mm.
Uh, I I know that if I feel it, I should stop immediately and deal with it. But how do you actually take care of the rubs once you feel them and you're out on trail?
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. The second you feel anything, you have to stop and you have to take care of it like the second you feel it, because the more and more you ignore it, the worse the blister or whatever it is going to get. I typically hike with 2 pairs of socks. Like in my kit, like I have 1 pair and then 1 pair in my backpack. The pair that I'm not wearing, I put on the outside of my pack to make sure they fully dry throughout the day. So the next day when I put them back on, I'm not chancing putting on wet socks. I have found that wet socks lead to issues. So I really try to avoid having a wet sock. The other thing, I found that trail runners have been more successful than boots. Boots just trap the moisture in, especially waterproof boots. There's just no way to dry your feet out in them. And when you're in a trail runner, it's just easier to dry them out. Another thing I do every single break I take my shoes off, I take off my socks, everything is laying out in the sun, and drying out while I break. And then if you are able to carry some wet wipes before bed, really getting into every single toe and trying to get any gunk out is really helpful to help prevent against blisters. And then like my mom said, I mean, sizing your shoes up a half size really is so smart. Trying to think of any other things that I did. I mean, I had the kit, so I had Leuko tape. I had a tiny sewing needle to deal with blisters. I had alcohol wipes. That was really like my go-to items for if I had to take care of a blister. The first time I got blisters was on the Arizona Trail, the driest place I've ever been. Never thought I would deal with so many blisters. That trail is brutal. They call the Arizona Trail the trail where hikers go to die. And I truly believe it. It's so rough out there. It's the first time I dealt with blisters, and it really feels debilitating. Like you really feel like you could get off trail for it. So just draining that blister and just making sure you have good leukotape on it is so important. And one last method I'll recommend too, I've seen people do, is they'll use the toe sock method paired with a regular sock. So they will wear Injinji toe socks, and then they'll put a darn tough sock over that. That way every single toe is completely separated. I would try that if you have any issues and just see if it works. Can you think of anything else, Colleen?
No, I had so many troubles with my feet, and it's how I got my trail name of 3 socks. So at one point I was wearing multiple socks on one foot to manage, but taking care of your feet is the most important thing you can do. It's like you said, if they get bad, it's debilitating, and it will, it'll be the only thing you can think about. So yeah, taking care of it right when it's happening is key. So, and then trying those different sock options, making sure your feet are clean. Once you get to a stream, throw those feet in, let them cool down, and make sure that they're dry before you put them back in your shoes the best that you can. So yeah, I think that's everything.
Good.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Foot care. How do I source a trail angel who would cache for me, or if I'm hiking solo or unsupported plans, specifically the tramway to Tahoe City. But what if I need something in between?
So you want to know how to find a trail angel to do this?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy to help. Feel free to call me. Yeah. Info here. Happy to support in any way, depending on what you're doing. Let me know if I can assist with that if the timing works out. Otherwise, get the Far Out app and get on there and look at the list of the trail angels. You could also join some of the Facebook groups that we have. It's another great way to get in contact with trail angels. Just let them know what you're doing, let them know your situation, the segment you're trying to accomplish, and just see what they say.
And I think the one for the Tahoe Rim Trail, it services the PCT hikers and the TRT hikers, but they're called the Tahoe Trail Angels Facebook group. And so there's a pretty active group of folks who are willing to support there as well.
Yeah, I had a lady in town, the Yucca lady. I had a wedding to go to while I was on the PCT. She took me from South Lake Tahoe. Well, actually, I met her in South Lake Tahoe. I was able to hike up to Donner. She drove all the way to Donner, picked me up, and then drove me all the way to the airport. And prior to the airport, she like stopped at a Walmart for me to get like a normal outfit because I looked crazy. And then picked me up, like kept my gear, picked me up and drove me all the way back to trail. So really the trail angels are so great and so willing to help.
And I can say definitively from being a hiker and receiving that, it's amazing. And then also being a trail angel, it feels the gift of giving back is really great. And I know a lot of the trail angels feel, called to do that. And it's equally as a reward. It's an equal reward for them as it is for you. So that part is awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. This one's an interesting one. How do I
Okay.
measure and access my calories that I need to get on trail? She's a vegetarian specifically, so nervous about getting significant calories for a through hike for her dietary preferences.
All good. I was a vegan on the PCT. I was vegan until I got to Etna and I had this really good olive oil cake and I'm sure there was butter in it. But after that, like when I got to bakeries, I would be like, okay, I'm going to get a little croissant or whatever it was. But my husband and I were vegan the entire trail. And what's really interesting is that our friends who were not lost more weight than we did. And I think it's because it's at the top of mind, right? You're worried about calories, you're worried about protein. You're already doing it in your day-to-day life by looking at like beans and peanut butter and things like that. And so I feel like since you're already worrying about it, you're already going to go into the experience, being more mindful. I just had a lot of peanut butter when I was out there. Peanut butter was so high in calories and so high in protein. I always had a jar on me, and I really think that that is why I lasted as long as I did, and I didn't lose as much weight. Um, yeah, I also too, I found that at the end of the trail, I had more energy. Like I wanted to keep going. When I finished the PCT, I wanted to go back out and I ended up going back out to do Washington again. And like people the whole time were like, "Oh, how are you vegan out here?" Like, "Oh, you need summer sausage." And I'm like, you can do it without. It's like the same battles that you deal with, here in the real world, with trying to get your calories in. It's the same battles you'll deal with on trail. I think I was doing like 3,000 calories a day on the PCT. And then when I got to the Sierra Nevada section, I was at higher elevation, so I was obviously eating more food. Um, Same can be said like when you leave Tahoe City on the TRT and you have to go over Relay Peak. It's a big climb. It's a lot of energy, so just making sure you have extra calories there. But I would really rely on your bars and I would really rely on peanut butter because I've never taken a brick of tofu out there. I don't know. I think it'd be too heavy because it's so much water. You could also try to just like getting some backpacker meals, like specific ones. Just like Colleen was saying how she has like a spare ramen at the bottom of her bag. You could just have a spare backpacker meal at the bottom, just like a pretty light one. Oh, Colleen, you're muted all of a sudden.
Like it's 2020 all over again. All right. So the question is, I know I need to be bear aware in the Tahoe area in general, clearly following the bear canister rules, which is that in the Tahoe Basin, if you're traveling overnight, you need a hard-sided bear canister. You can rent them here. I have them behind me. But what are some spots on trail that you're more likely to run into them? Kingsbury, Spooner, any neighborhoods that you can think of?
I think for us it was Gilmore Lake that had a lot. Is that the one where you can access by like vehicles can access Gilmore? Or is that Richardson Lake?
That's Richmond.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I would say again, far out. I had seen comments about that lake, people talking about how car campers were being really bad about food storage. They were cooking and dumping grease on the ground. And then obviously bears were hanging out in that area, right? So that was one that I was aware of when I got on trail just because I saw all the comments. That's one easy way you can be more bear aware. that was definitely the only spot that I had heard any issues on. I think like anytime you're in an area that has like heavy tourist foot traffic, it can happen because these bears are smart, right? But as long as like you're doing your part, like you have your proper storage, like you mentioned, even at night, you're making sure everything's in there, you're storing it away from your tent, and you're going to be just fine. I didn't have any issues. I also didn't have any issues on my entire trek of the PCT, if that makes you feel any better. But yeah, I mean, we've all heard Hank the Tank, but I never ran into him or her, actually.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's great. And I will say that we, as an organization, people report that kind of stuff to us where they see bears. And just like Baha said, it's going to be where there's higher volumes of traffic of usually day hikers. So if there's more frequency of that, usually it's a less experienced crowd, and they might not have all the resources. They might not have the bear cans. They might not be thinking about that. So if it's a higher traffic area, and then I think actually in Tahoe City, we've heard a lot of people seeing bears in that area just because they are closer to town. And honestly, we call them like wilderness bears versus town bears in Tahoe. And the town bears are the ones that are, I think, just a little bit less inhibited to their boundaries. They don't really have them. So they are a lot more comfortable kind of approaching things that let's say like wilderness bears, like probably wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So, so just those kind of things I think are just with the bears, yeah, in general. So we're higher traffic. You're likely to see them, but a lot of the times on the trail, our guided through hikes, they go, and I think of the last 5 years, they've only seen one bear. So it's not as common once you're out on the trail.
Yeah, if anything, I'm dealing with mice over bears.
Yeah. Great. Let's talk animal emergencies. I have a wild fear of being stalked once I'm at camp. It's probably rare, but could spend a bit of time talking about how to deal with animal encounters if they arise.
Yeah, totally fair. I think a lot of us have been in that situation where we can I call it feeling sharky. If you've ever been in the ocean, you feel like a shark is near you. I've had lots of moments where I've felt sharky. I think being with a friend or camping near a friend really can help reduce that stress. So if you're able to camp with someone or go with a friend, I think that can really help. Ultimately, I really think it's like the more time you spend on trail, the less worried you get about it. You just kind of get more comfortable with being out there. So experience does have a little bit to do with that. And then, I mentioned making the stick alarm. I think that's a great way for you to kind of make your little alarm system around your tent. Hopefully that'll help you sleep a little bit better at night. And then, yeah, I feel like so when I was on the Colorado Trail, we did have a mountain lion up in the tree above our campsite yelling all night long. I had originally heard this like weird sound and I was like, okay, like I don't know what it is. I'm so tired. I was falling in and out of sleep. And then I heard it and I was like, oh shoot, I think that's a mountain lion. And so now I'm fully awake, right? My senses are on high alert. I'm fully listening. I hear it's almost like a chirp sound. I heard it again. And I could hear that it had gone down the trail. So for me in my tent, what can I do, right? I'm feeling like it's left. That's great. There's nothing I can do. It leaves, I fall back asleep, and then I heard it again. And this time I heard it above the tree, like above my tent. And I was really, really psyched out. And I had two friends camping right near me, luckily. I yelled out for them, and both of my friends are like big melatonin, big like earplug sleepers. So they're very hard to wake up. So I'm like screaming for my friends. Finally, they wake up. And then they're listening for it. It takes some time because like obviously we just screamed and then they heard the chirp as well. So once that they also, recognized that they could hear it too, it became more real. I like yelled for my friend and I ended up joining her in her tent. And that's how we were all able to get through the night, but nothing ended up happening to us. I think it was just like a juvenile, just maybe calling out for its mom. I don't really know. Nothing came of it. We ended up being okay, but yeah, things can happen out there. It's a normal fear to have, but yeah.
Cool. And just kind of with mountain lions, generally you're never going to make eye contact with them. You're not going to run away. They generally want to avoid confrontation. That's like not what they want to have happen. So, you know, you're just trying not to make them feel cornered or anything like that. Don't like stare them down or try and be bigger. You're just going to kind of back away casually. That is what they are, that's what you're told to do. So that's, I think that's kind of best practice with mountain lions, but generally speaking, they don't want to mess with you and you don't want to mess with them. And that's, yeah, I'd say that's the general rule.
Yeah, they're pretty recluse.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Okay. And then, tell us how you got your trail name, Baja.
Okay. So I got the trail name Baja from the pop Baja Blast at Taco Bell. Love that pop. So I was on the PCT and I was hiking down to Cajon and I found out that there was a Taco Bell there. And so my husband and I were hiking down and he had challenged me to hike out with a full liter full of Baja Blast. And so when we got down there, we actually ended up going to Chipotle, believe it or not. And so I didn't get my trail name then, but I was like, at the time I thought like, oh my gosh, if I do this, like, do you think I could have the trail name Baja? And he was like, only if you pack it out. So it became this like running thing. We get to Cajon, we end up going to Chipotle. We don't make it to Taco Bell. I took all the way to Tehachapi. This is miles later. We finally get to a Taco Bell. And everyone at this point, no one's named me anything. Like someone offered the trail name Table because I had rolled a log to them to use as a table, but I said no to that. So right now, everyone's talking about the name Baja, but I can only get it if I drink the Baja Blast on Trail. This is like the running joke of the group now. We make it to Tehachapi and we can't go inside the Taco Bell because the lobby is closed for renovation. We're so sad. So we stand in line for Taco Bell. We're just standing there. We finally get to the speaker and the guy says, you have to be in a car. But the driver behind us, like he just thought the whole thing we were doing was funny. So he invited us into his car. We got in his car, pulled to the drive-thru. We order everything. I get my Baja Blast. He ends up paying for us, which was so nice and such a surprise. We all sit outside at the table. We dump the Baja Blast into my liter bottle and I take it and I have a photo of me like with my hand in the air. I'm drinking the Baja Blast. And from that moment on, I became Baja. It was like a quest.
I love it. So good. Yes, trail names are a fun thing. And yeah, just kind of quintessential to long trails and through hiking, specifically in America, I'd say.
Definitely. And you don't have to accept the first one you're given. You can get 3 chances.
Oh, I like that.
And I know like some people will like drop a trail name and then they'll get to the next trail and they'll pick a new one. What my friends and I have done, we've just created middle names.
I like that.
So you can do it too.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about getting cold, sleeping bag ratings, and how you cope with an extra cold night?
Yeah, I had a really cold night recently at Mammoth Lakes. I hike with a 10-degree sleeping bag. I've used it on all my hikes, including the Arizona Trail. It's kind of just like my safety blanket at this point. I know at 10 degrees, I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be comfortable. So definitely get yourself a 10-degree bag. Before you go to bed, take your quilt, take your sleeping bag, and put it out into the sun so that the down can loft up. Your quilt is going to be at the bottom of your backpack smushed down and your down feathers are going to be crushed, right? So when you take it out of your bag, if you can lay it on the ground in sun, it will really re-loft. It's actually wild how thick it will get. And I have found that I have slept so much warmer when I've let my bag sit in the sun. Another thing you can do, I call it greenhousing. I'll pitch my tent and I'll set everything up and I'll get my sleeping bag in there. And I feel like it makes the air in my like sleeping pad warmer. This is like all in my head. But I feel like it makes it warmer and I feel like it makes the tent in general warmer when I get into it at night. I will oftentimes, if it's a really cold night, I'll keep all of the doors shut in my tent. But sometimes that can lead to condensation, which can in turn make the tent a little bit colder. So what I'll do is like a cross breeze. I'll open up one door on each side of my tent to kind of create a breeze. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be colder. You're still able to trap the heat in there, but at least you can kind of air out your condensation a little bit better. That's always led to a warmer night. If you have a really cold night, I would recommend sleeping in your rain gear. That way you can trap in all of the heat imaginable. If you sleep in your rain pants and you make sure to Velcro the legs and put your socks over it, I'm telling you what, you will be sweating when you go to bed. Yeah, that one will work. And then obviously you're gonna get up in the morning, you're gonna have to get dressed and hike again. So if you have any of your clothing that you wore that day, just take it and put it into the bottom of your sleeping bag. Your body temperature will warm up your clothing so that the next morning when you get on trail, your clothing's already kind of been preheating. It's a great way to maintain some body heat. Can you think of anything else?
So when I hiked the PCT, I hiked with a Thermarest Z Lite for most of the trail, but once I hit the Sierra, I switched to an inflatable pad for just like a little extra R value. And then I also added, because I didn't have a 10-degree bag, I added a sleeping bag liner, and that was a game changer for me. And I thought it was super effective. And now I always travel with it. So it's like a piece of gear that even if I'm going to like a hotel, I take it with me because I think it's cozy and I think it's cleaner. So it was like an investment in gear that I was like, oh, am I ever going to use this again? And it's probably one of my most used things. So I'm a big proponent of the sleeping bag liner too, and kind of bumping up your R value where you can. So if you're thinking that light is the way you want to go, but it's going to be cold, kind of making those shifts. Cool. All right. So, okay, how many miles do you hike a day?
Ooh, I hike probably between 20 and 25 miles a day. On the PCT, I started off hiking. The first day I did 12. It was like 12, 14, 18, hit my 20, took a break. And then once I got to Oregon, well, I guess in the Sierra, I entered May 9th, so it was extremely early. For weather, and it was still snow everywhere, and so I was only able to do one pass a day. So in the Sierra I was averaging between 12 and 15 miles. Once I got to Oregon, we were doing 30-mile days, and then once we got to Washington, we told ourselves we'd only do 25s because it was going by so fast. But at that point, it's like you're on month 5, it's like your one job is to hike, so you kind of just end up you have the whole day and you're going more than 3 miles per hour. So yeah, I was pretty much hitting between like 25 and 30 there. On the Tahoe Rim Trail, I did this in 8 days. So the first day, I believe I did a 16. I went a little past Star Lake. And then after that, I pretty much had to make up for that day the entire time. So I was hiking like 22 to 24 miles a day, which I've never done for 8 days straight. Well, it's a Nero, and then, so 7 days straight of like full hiking I've never done before. It was really hard. I thought I could do the Tahoe Rim Trail in like 7 days, and then I got out there and I was like, oof, it was a feat. So yeah, give yourself plenty of time. I think the perfect amount of time to do the Tahoe Rim Trail and to keep your mileage like really just like average and comfortable would be like 2 weeks. 12 days to 14 days would be ideal.
Yeah, I'd say most people do it in 10 to 14 days. So I feel like that's very comfortable. And you're right. Yeah.
Then your mileage isn't too high and you can really enjoy it. But yeah, everyone is different.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, there's people who do it in 2 days. So it's all relative. It all depends on your goals and expectations and your level of fitness. Specifically with the TRT, you're doing 26,000 feet of vertical, no matter which way you go, clockwise, counterclockwise, you're doing a ton of elevation. So kind of factoring that into your miles too. Specifically, if you're coming from not the Tahoe Basin and you're also having to adjust for the elevation too. So something to consider, 24 hours ahead of time or even 48, and popping some baby aspirins are always kind of a way to deal with that too. Cool. All right. What's your morning routine look like?
Okay. Morning routine. Alarm goes off. I know. Sorry. I got to get up. Otherwise I'll stay there for so long. Alarm goes off. I silence it. I'm immediately doing everything I can to stay in my sleeping bag as long as possible. So I'm packing up electronics, headlamp, camera gear, anything like that is going to go into my backpack. I am pulling out my snacks for the day. So I'll either go get my bear can, or if I'm on a trail where I don't need it, then I'm just going to stay in my tent as long as possible. I'll get my snacks out for the day, put them all into my hip belt pockets, then everything else will go inside my backpack. I'm the kind of hiker that hikes with the bear can on top of my pack empty. So pretty much emptying the bear can, setting it to the side and dealing with that last. And then, yeah, at that point, once that is all done, I lay back down and I undo my thermarest and I have that moment of just deflating into the earth. And then I will immediately get out of my bag. I'll fold up my thermarest perfectly, put that into my pack, take my sleeping bag out, and I'll put my sleeping bag into the pack. Anything that's going to go at the bottom of the backpack is going to go all the way in there, like my rain gear. Unless I know like a storm is coming, then I'll put like my puffy, any gear that's like merino wool or down. It's going to go into my pack at the bottom in a rain sack, and I'm shoving it all down. And then I'm putting all my food inside of there. On top of that, in my bag, you can always just like bring like a grocery store bag. You don't have to have anything fancy, but I'm stuffing that on top. And then, yeah, getting dressed, putting my gaiters on, shoes on. I'm eating, brushing my teeth, and going to the bathroom all on trail. So all of that I'm holding until I'm out of that tent and I'm gone. And then, yeah, I usually put my sleeping bag in, or sorry, my tent in, and then shutting my pack and then putting my can on top and then starting my garment up for the day. And off I go, Pop-Tart in hand. Even like sunscreen I'm doing on trail. I'm doing a lot of things on trail. I'm very busy.
Yeah. I was the same way. I had, it was the pack up and then everything
Yeah.
else happened once you're moving. And it's kind of nice to have something to do and something to think about besides walking. So
Especially when it's cold, you know, it's like
Mhm.
you want to just get out of there and get your body moving.
Perfect. Were mosquitoes ever an issue for you?
Like on the Tahoe Rim Trail? No. So I hiked that July over the 4th of July that week. I didn't have any issues there. Oh wait, no, I did. Oh my gosh, wow, I've forgotten. Good for me though, honestly. Oh my gosh, I had a moment. It was leaving Tahoe City. I don't know what happened, but it was like on the way to a big camping restriction area. And it was like out of nowhere. I don't know. People were like telling me, oh, the mosquitoes are bad. And I was like, okay, but have you been to Oregon on the PCT? Because that's like really bad. Or like, have you been to Alaska? Like, how bad are we talking? We all have different levels of bad. So for me, bad is like, I have to hike and like swat my face the entire time. Like, I can't stop touching my face. That's what I'm expecting. But I had a similar experience to that just outside of Tahoe City. And I, could have just been water in the area that just led to them breeding there. But yeah, it was just completely random.
Cool. All right. Any thoughts or advice on water caching?
I guess so. Some advice on it if you're gonna do it. You'll get a big water jug. I would write my name on it. I would write the date on it. I would write private on it because sometimes people can take your water. Who are, and you would hope that in those situations, like they were desperate enough and they had to. But ultimately, if you see a private cache, like not to. So I definitely would write private on it. Um, and then storing it in a cool area is always great. A lot of times you can look in far out and you can read comments. People cache a lot over at Spooner Summit. It's a big cache spot. So you can see if someone left a cache there that's public, they'll tell you in there. And even the like jugs will say public on it. But I think it's great. It's a pretty dry trail once you get into Nevada. So I totally understand wanting to cache. Yeah, I would just make sure you're labeling it. And I would go head to the cache with water just in case you get to that cache and for some reason it wasn't there because that can happen.
And I would just say from like the TRT perspective, we want to make sure that you have water out there. So we don't have like a firm stance on like you should do it or you shouldn't do it. We just ask that you have a plan for picking it up. So really practicing the leave no trace principles of like, if you're going to put it out there, make sure you're the one responsible for taking it back. So kind of leaving it better than you found it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you ever wanted to be, do a little trail magic, you're just thinking about getting into it and you drive over Spooner, that's a great way to start in the summer. You could be someone who supports the cache there by picking up bottles and filling them up and bringing them back.
That's huge.
Mhm.
So great. Okay. I think that's all the questions, unless anybody has any that they want to say out loud,
Amazing.
but those are all the ones in the chat. Cool. All right. Oh, do we have somebody pipeline? Did I get to everybody's? Did I miss any?
I don't know.
Kara's typing really quickly. Paul's typing. We love it. It's a race. Okay. Just
Type
kidding.
it, people. You can also tell us. You
Thank
can tell
you.
us if you want.
Yeah.
You can
we're
unmute.
just gonna thank you from Kara. Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Excellent. Okay. Perfect. Paul, that's great. Thanks. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Again, please make sure you follow Mallory on Instagram. If you have any questions, scan the QR code. Reach out to us at the TRTA if you want to get involved, whether it's volunteering or being a participant in one of the programs or becoming a member. All of those things make a huge difference, and we'd love to have you join our community. So thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Perfect.
Thank you. That was fun
Thanks.
and interesting.
Oh,
Yay,
good.
good.
Thanks for
Yay.
joining.
Yeah. My biggest fear is just finding something to sleep on that's comfortable.
Yeah, no, totally get it. Yeah, you could, what do I use? I use the Thermarest, the inflatable one, but I know people who will even double. They'll do the Z-Lite, the foam pad, and then they'll do the inflatable on top of it. Try a layering system. Where are you
Yeah.
based at?
I'm in Carson City.
Oh, okay, nice. You're close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, there's
What-
a Sierra Trading there. You could pop in there. You could go to REI and just like talk to some of the people there about, I mean, they have like a full wall of all the different types.
Right. I really
they-
liked your suggestion about just, camping in your backyard,
Yes,
which
please
when I
do
was a
it.
kid, we'd love to do that. But
I know, right? We would like beg to sleep on the trampoline all night.
yes. Colleen, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, we also have a ton of gear here at the TRTA, and if you're a member, we're happy to loan it out as long as a program isn't going out. So, if you want to borrow a Thermarest and a Z-Lite and test each one and see what works for you before you commit to one, we're happy to do that as long as, like I said, as long as it doesn't conflict with a program when we're
Right.
going to be using it. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good.
great.
I knew you had some equipment. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
we have
you had things like
tents and
that.
bags and all that kind of stuff. So, and a few different cook systems, so that you don't have to commit
nice.
to all. We mostly have Jetboil, and I think we have one MSR pocket rocket, but we'd love to have more of those because that's my preference if we're gonna use one. So,
Me too.
yes, yeah.
Well, I hope you camp in your backyard. I hope you put that on your list this summer.
Yes, I will, because I was going to do the backpacking 101, but I can't do it now because it's the Saturday, Sunday. The Sunday is when we're doing the segment hikes.
Oh, right. Well, we're doing a mini backpacking 101 in Reno at the Patagonia outlet on March 19th.
Oh yeah,
So it's going to be a compressed version of that.
I signed up for that one, but I like
great.
the one that TRTA is doing because you actually go out, and I think
Yeah,
it's at
there's the
Dardanelles.
hands-on. Yeah, the
Yeah,
hands-on
and
component
that's-
is huge, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need is I just need to do it. But anyway, I'll let y'all go. Thank
All
you so
good.
much. It was very
Lily.
interesting and very inspirational and
Oh,
funny too.
good. Yay. Okay, I'm so glad. Okay, yeah, here, if you need me, this is
Yes.
it.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Message
Thanks.
me whenever. Open book.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, have a good night, y'all.
You as
Thanks,
well.
Mary. Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye-bye.